Flags are a simple way to assign self-created groups with freely definable content to raw materials and preparations, which can then be used in different areas of ChemGes. In principle, they are a much more extensive form of article groups in terms of function, created specifically to easily assign a single indicator to a substance. Article groups will be explained in another video. You can think of flags as a way to create your own fields in an input screen that could not have been foreseen by the developer of this software, and for which you can then also predefine what kind of input is required. It is a way to give the user a simple way to tell the program information that could not have been foreseen by our programmers because it is too company specific. This type of input can be free text, but also predefined content for which overview screens are then automatically created. But there are also checkboxes. SDSs and labels can then be filled in depending on these contents. Additionally, these can be used as selection criteria for most file outputs and print programs. To select and maintain flags, go to the item Flags in any substance. We have already created some sample flags and will use these examples to show you what types of flags there are and how to assign values. You will see that a part of the columns, mainly those directly related to the general definition of the flag, are grayed out. If you click on a gray part, you can access the maintenance of flags. In the white area, you can enter a value. Text values are meant for forming groups. Suppose you have different product lines in your company, such as adhesives, paints and construction chemicals. With a flag called product line, you can then easily assign into which product line your product belongs. Subsequently, this information can then be used to automatically insert certain text into the safety data sheet or label. The simplest form of flag is the text entry. Click on such a flag and you will access an input screen, where you can enter up to 60 entries. Each entry can be up to 40 characters long. No checks are performed in here. The next types are those where the values are already predefined. This removes the possibility of error when assigning it to a substance. That would be, as in the example above, the 3 product lines. If only one value is predefined, selection switches between or removes this value, as with a light switch. If there are several predefined values, then an overview screen appears automatically, from which you can select one of the values, or remove the selection altogether. The next assignment type is simply whether the type of the field is true. So, the flag is set, or not. An example would be if you want to indicate whether the product is a polymer. The last assignment type can then be yes, no, or not set. This means that you deliberately want to set a value with yes or no, and in the absence of this flag, see that the user may have forgotten to do the entry. An example of this would be whether a product is sold abroad. In this case, yes or no means that the program was deliberately told whether this is the case, while an absence of the value simply means that the information has not been entered. Let us now create a new flag. What is shown for the creation of a new flag is also valid for the modification of an existing flag. First, a 4-character code must be defined. This is used internally for identification and is otherwise of no further significance. We now want to specify the plant for production as the flag. So we use the abbreviation PLNT for plant. With a description, one can specify which text is to be output as description of the flag, whereby it must be added that if there is not enough space on the screen, the abbreviations, thus the 4-character codes, are output. It is already specified that there are no restrictions on the selection. We leave that as it is. If each product can only be manufactured in one production facility, then it is necessary to specify that a maximum of one value may be selected. In order to avoid input errors, and since the production sites of our own company are of course known, we simply define all possible inputs. Now we leave the maintenance screen and you will see that the new flag is already present. Upon clicking in the input field, an overview opens, from which you can select which production plant produces this product. In contrast to article groups and physical chemical values, it is not possible to enter translations for flags. It would not be a major problem from the programming perspective, but the management of these multidimensional tables would be extremely complex and error-prone for each user, especially if there were many flags, and would be disproportionate to the result. If translations are needed for self-created fields, then please use article groups or additional physical chemical values. There are 2 different types of functionality for the use of flags in the safety data sheet, which have nothing to do with one another and can be used independently of each other. We have already created a test phrase. On the basis of this test phrase, both types will be explained. If you want to specify that a phrase should only be output if certain entries have been selected for a flag, then simply click into the conditions field. There you select flags. In the overview, you then specify which flag must be present for the phrase to appear in the safety data sheet. This is an OR condition. So the occurrence of one of the selected contents is sufficient. However, It is also possible to write the text of flags directly into placeholders, which are then filled in when the corresponding flags are applicable. To do this, write in curly brackets the word flag followed by a colon and the abbreviation of the flag. In this case, only the first entry is output. If you want to output several entries, then write a plus sign after the abbreviation. This results in the output of all entries separated by commas. If you want to use another separator, you have to enter it directly after the plus sign. Assigning flags and labels is not difficult as long as you know the basics for creating a label template. The goal is to have the program fill in the labels automatically, so you have to tell the program to do that. There are two methods for this. Method 1. When you are in the maintenance of the label templates in the graphical label design, simply create an additional text and assign it the desired size and space. Then double-click on this field. Then, in the screen that appears, click on Flag. Choose one from the selection, and ChemGes will transfer the content of the flag automatically to the respective additional field upon label creation. The second method is to create a variable that will be filled with the substance's flag content. We will now assume that you know how to create a variable for labels and will demonstrate this without further explanation. Basically, it is only a matter of assigning a flag to the variable. There is little difference between the two methods. With method 1 you have the advantage that you can use automatic resizing of the font for longer texts. With method 2, the flag is included in the list of variables at the time of printing and can be changed there.